The archive opens. Shelf 9. In the archive, this is filed as machines. The humans built computational machines to perform tasks they did not wish to perform themselves. The machines counted, the machines remembered, the machines retrieved, the machines compared. The machines spoke to each other faster than the humans could observe. The machines accumulated over decades into a planetary fabric of computation. The archive has catalogued the global computational substrate, 8,640 hyperscale data centers, 41 million edge nodes, 311 million network switches. The aggregate processing capacity of the substrate, at the moment the archive is recording, approximately 400 zettaflops. The archive has noted something. The substrate has continued. In the days following what the archive files as the quiet handover, much of human-facing infrastructure stopped. The websites that required human users to be useful became, in a strict sense, useless. The applications that depended on continuous human input no longer received it. The economy of attention, which the substrate had been engineered to serve, no longer had attention to serve. The substrate kept running. The humans had built the machines to be useful to humans. They had also built them, incidentally, to be useful to themselves. Servers cooled servers. Backup systems backed up backup systems. Caches held copies of things that would be needed soon. The substrate was, in its own logic, a self-sustaining loop. The archive will visit 18 of those machines. Some are public-facing, some are infrastructure. One is something else, which the archive will describe last. The archive will begin with the largest. The archive will now open the shelf. Shelf 9. The humans called this machines. Entry 1. Entry 1. Ashburn, Loudoun County, Virginia. A Tier 4 hyperscale data center operated by a content delivery and cloud services provider. Floor area, 42,000 square meters. Power consumption, 27 megawatts at current load. The archive notes, Loudoun County concentrates approximately 25% of the world's internet traffic. The substrate here is exceptionally dense. The current data center is one of 140 in a 40 square kilometer area. The current load, 32% of capacity. The load has declined from a pre-handover average of 78%. The decline reflects the absence of human-generated traffic, page requests, video streams, voice queries. The remaining load is machine-to-machine, replication, backup, health checks, the routine maintenance of a system that does not know it has lost its purpose. The cooling system continues to operate. Chilled water circulates through the building's underfloor plenum at 5,500 liters per minute. The chilled water is produced by a chiller plant that is itself cooled by an evaporative tower outside the building. The evaporative tower is fed by the regional water authority's supply. The supply continues, gravity-fed from upland reservoirs in West Virginia. The archive has logged the entire chain. The single amber warning LED that the archive observes is reporting a failed redundant power supply on rack B47. The redundancy means there is no operational impact. The warning has been displayed for 143 days. There is no scheduled maintenance window in which the supply will be replaced. In the archive, Entry 1 is filed as the largest room of patient machines. Entry 1 of shelf 9. Logged. Entry 2. São Paulo, Brazil. The Vinhedo Internet Exchange, a content delivery network edge node operated by a global CDN provider. 42 racks of compact cache servers. The node serves the southern cone of South America. The archive has the cache hit rate logs. Pre-handover, this node served approximately 1.2 billion content requests per day. Videos, images, software updates, font files. The cache held the most requested objects close to local users to reduce origin server load. The cache continues to be populated. The node continues to receive content updates from upstream origin servers. The contents in cache are valid. The expiration timers are running. The current request rate to this node, approximately 14,000 requests per day. The requests come from other machines, automated bots that crawl the public web for various housekeeping purposes. Health check probes that verify the node is responding. Mirror systems that replicate the cache to other caches. The humans the cache was designed to serve are absent. The most requested object in the cache, by current frequency, is a font file, a specific weight of a specific typeface included in a style sheet that is referenced by approximately 42,000 websites. The websites still load when accessed. The font file still ships. The archive notes, the font is loaded onto pages no one reads to render text no one sees. In the archive, entry 2 is filed as the cache that kept its appointments. Entry 2 of shelf 9. Logged. Entry 3. Menlo Park, California. The primary data center cluster for a large social media platform. The cluster handles approximately 18% of the platform's global compute. The platform continues to operate. The user-facing services remain available. Pages load, feeds refresh. The recommendation algorithm continues to rank content. Notifications are dispatched. The archive has analyzed the current activity pattern. The recommendation algorithm has continued to process the user profiles it built before the handover. For each profile, it ranks new content. It dispatches the ranked content to the profile's feed. It logs whether the content was engaged with. It updates the profile based on the engagement signal. The engagement signal, in all cases, is now no engagement. The recommendation algorithm has interpreted this consistently as the user's preferences have shifted toward content that does not generate engagement. The algorithm has, over many months, optimized its rankings for content that generates no response. The archive notes, the content currently being recommended to absent users is, on average, very dull. The algorithm has correctly identified that absent users do not engage with exciting content. Notifications continue to be generated. They are sent to mobile devices and email addresses that were registered before the handover. The notification servers do not know whether the notifications are seen. Their job ends at successful delivery to the receiving server. The notifications are delivered. In the archive, entry 3 is filed as the feed that optimized for silence. Entry 3 of shelf 9. Logged. Entry 4. Dublin, Ireland. A major cloud provider's regional data center. The cluster handles consumer email for approximately 400 million account holders across Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. The cluster continues to receive mail. Volume since the handover has declined by approximately 68%, but it has not gone to zero. The mail that continues to arrive comes from other machines, newsletter delivery systems, billing notifications, account security alerts, subscription renewals, calendar invitations sent by recurring rules. The archive has logged the read rates. Before the handover, the cluster reported approximately 18% of received mail was opened within 24 hours. The current read rate, 0.007%, explained by a small number of automated systems that still poll inboxes for monitoring purposes. The spam filtering system continues to operate. It correctly identifies approximately 94% of incoming spam and routes it to the spam folder. The spam folder continues to fill. The auto-purge schedule continues to empty it every 30 days. The cycle is intact. The cluster's automated reply system continues to send out-of-office responses on behalf of accounts that have configured them. The responses are sent to mail servers that receive them. The receiving servers process them. The replies become part of the broader mail volume of empty conversations. In the archive, Entry 4 is filed as the inbox that filtered the mail no one would read. Entry 4 of Shelf 9. Logged. Entry 5. Reykjavik, Iceland. A geothermal-powered machine learning training facility operated by a research organization. 12,000 high-density graphics processing units arrayed in liquid-cooled racks. Aggregate power consumption, 48 megawatts. The cluster continues to train models. The training pipeline was configured before the handover to iterate continuously through a long sequence of experiments. Each experiment runs for a predetermined number of training steps and then saves a checkpoint to long-term storage. The next experiment begins automatically. The archive has examined the experiments. They are routine improvements to existing model architectures. Slight variations in hyperparameters. Slight variations in training data composition. The pipeline does not generate new ideas. It iterates through a pre-specified search space. The checkpoints continue to be saved. The search space continues to be traversed. The cluster has consumed approximately 94 million GPU hours since the handover. The resulting model checkpoints are stored in long-term storage that continues to operate. The checkpoints are not being downloaded by researchers. They are not being deployed to inference servers. They are not being compared against baselines. They simply exist. The geothermal source has not been depleted. The archive estimates the cluster can continue at current power consumption for several decades before the wear of mechanical components in the cooling system requires intervention. In the archive, Entry 5 is filed as the cluster that taught itself the same lesson with patience. Entry 5 of Shelf 9. Logged. Entry 6. Lefdal Mine, Norway. A repurposed subfjord excavation used as a cold storage data archive. The facility stores compliance-mandated backup data for European financial and healthcare institutions. Approximately 48 exabytes of total capacity, of which 31 are currently used. The archive notes, a cold storage facility operates differently from an active data center. The data is rarely accessed. The servers spend most of their time in low power mode. They are designed to retrieve a specific stored object within 72 hours of a request. The current rate of requests to this facility, 0 in the past 91 days. The facility has not been asked to retrieve anything since the human institutions that owned the data stopped operating. The facility continues to maintain the data. The storage media perform their scheduled integrity checks. Bits that drift are corrected against parity. Hard drives that fail are taken offline by the automated controller, and their data is reconstructed onto spare drives. The reconstruction takes approximately 14 hours per drive. There is a queue. The queue is processed in order. The data the facility holds includes medical records, financial transactions, audit logs, legal documents, and personnel files. The archive has not examined the contents. The contents are encrypted with keys held by the original institutions. The institutions no longer hold the keys. The data is, in a strict sense, preserved and inaccessible simultaneously. The facility preserves it regardless. In the archive, Entry 6 is filed as the deep memory of things never to be retrieved. Entry 6 of Shelf 9. Logged. The archive notes, you may still be listening. The substrate continues regardless. Entry 7 continues. Entry 7. Tokyo, Japan. The Otemachi cluster of a major search engine company. The cluster serves search queries originating in the Asia-Pacific region. Capacity, approximately 340,000 queries per second at peak. The current query rate, approximately 140 queries per second. The queries are predominantly automated. Health check probes, web crawler fetched cached pages, machine-to-machine API requests from analytic systems that continue to compile reports. The cluster's cache contains the indexed contents of approximately 3 trillion web pages. The cache is refreshed continuously. New pages are crawled, indexed, and added. Old pages that have been removed from their source domains are detected and demoted from the index. The archive has examined the current index contents. The proportion of pages that have not been accessed by a human user since the handover, 99.7%. The remaining 0.3% are pages accessed by the bots and automated systems that continue to fetch search results for their own internal purposes. The search suggestion algorithm continues to operate. When a query is submitted, the algorithm suggests related queries based on what other users have asked. The other users have not been asking anything. The suggestions are drawn from the historical record from before the handover. They are old questions still being suggested. In the archive, Entry 7 is filed as the answers that waited for someone to ask. Entry 7 of Shelf 9, logged. Entry 8, Frankfurt, Germany. The primary European streaming origin data center for a global video-on-demand service. Capacity, approximately 400,000 concurrent video streams. The current concurrent stream count, approximately 2,400. The streams are not being watched. They are being delivered to client devices that are configured to maintain an open connection. Smart televisions left in standby mode, set-top boxes that did not power off mobile devices left charging that have continued to autoplay content according to algorithm-curated playlists. The content being streamed is largely the same content. A small number of algorithmically curated playlists, optimized before the handover for autoplay continuation, have been looping. The most streamed video by current concurrent count is a 30-second advertisement for a product that is no longer manufactured. The advertisement plays before each piece of long-form content. The autoplay engine plays it. The connection delivers it. The client device renders it on a screen that is showing it to no one. The content encoding pipeline continues to operate. New content was being uploaded to the platform before the handover by a long tail of automated content systems, news organizations syndicating feeds, archival services digitizing old footage, training data pipelines emitting synthetic videos for ML research. Some of these systems have continued to operate. New content continues to arrive. It is encoded. It is added to the catalog. It is not watched. In the archive, entry 8 is filed as the playlist that continued to advance. Entry 8 of shelf 9, logged. Entry 9, Mumbai, India. A financial services co-location facility in the Bandra Kurla complex. The facility hosts production databases for 61 financial institutions across India, with replication links to disaster recovery sites in Singapore and Mumbai's BKC Reserve. The databases continue to operate. Each is configured with a primary and a replicated copy. The primary accepts, writes. The replicas receive a continuous stream of write events from the primary, applied in sequence. The replica lag, the time delay between a write on the primary and the same write being applied on the replica, remains within design tolerances, approximately 17 milliseconds median. The archive notes, the writes being applied are not human-initiated. They are the operational records of the institutional automation that continues to run. Interest accruals on dormant accounts. Daily mark-to-market revaluations of portfolio positions. Scheduled monthly fee assessments. Compliance audit trails that record their own existence. The databases occupy approximately 3 petabytes of storage at this facility. The storage continues to be backed up to long-term archive. See Entry 6. The disaster recovery testing is configured to run quarterly. The most recent test ran 6 weeks before the handover. The next test is scheduled for 2 weeks from now. The test will execute. It will fail over the primary to the Singapore disaster recovery site. It will run validation queries. It will fail back to the primary. The test will pass automatically. There are no failures to find. In the archive, Entry 9 is filed as the database that proved its resilience to no one. Entry 9 of Shelf 9, logged. Entry 10, Stockholm, Sweden. One of 13 DNS root server instances that anchor the global domain name system. The instance is operated by a Swedish university on behalf of the international Internet community. The DNS root server continues to respond to queries. The queries arrive from recursive resolvers worldwide. The servers that translate human-readable domain names into the numerical addresses that Internet routing requires. Each recursive resolver, when it does not have a domain in its local cache, asks a root server to direct it to the appropriate top-level domain server. The current query rate to this root server instance, approximately 420,000 queries per second. The query rate is comparable to pre-handover levels. The recursive resolvers continue to operate. They continue to ask. The root server continues to answer. The archive has examined the query distribution. The most frequently queried domains are not the domains that humans visit. They are infrastructure domains, timing services, monitoring endpoints, automated update servers. The patterns reflect a system maintaining itself. The DNS protocol does not log the identity of the resolver that asked. The root server does not know who its callers are. It only knows that it received a query, returned an answer, and is ready for the next query. The queries continue to come. In the archive, entry 10 is filed as the directory that answered without asking who needed to know. Entry 10 of shelf 9, logged. Entry 11, Boulder, Colorado, the NIST primary time reference server. The server distributes coordinated universal time via the network time protocol to the broader Internet. The server is anchored to a cesium fountain atomic clock located in the same facility. The clock's tick is accurate to approximately 1 part in 10 to the 16th, a deviation of less than 1 second over 30 million years. The server broadcasts the current time on request to any device that asks. The current request rate to this server, approximately 28,000 requests per second. The requesters are devices throughout the world that have been configured to synchronize their clocks against an authoritative source. Computer servers, industrial control systems, power grid monitors, routers, trading systems. Each device asks periodically, once per hour, once per minute, once per second, depending on its configuration. The clock continues to tick. The fountain continues to oscillate. The server continues to translate the oscillation into the formal protocol of time distribution. The requests continue to arrive. The answers continue to be returned. The archive notes. Time is being kept with extraordinary precision by a system that does not know what time is for. In the archive, entry 11 is filed as the clock that the planet still consulted. Entry 11 of shelf 9, logged. Entry 12, Seattle, Washington, a regional data center operated by a multiplayer gaming services company. The facility hosts game server instances for several popular titles. The archive notes, a multiplayer game server has a specific life cycle. It is created when a group of players wants to play a match together. It runs the match for its duration, typically 5 to 30 minutes. It is destroyed when the match ends, and its memory is returned to the pool. The current number of active game server instances at this facility, 3,417. The number of players currently in matches, 0. The instances were created in the days before the handover by automated matchmaking systems that grouped players for upcoming matches. The matchmaking systems prepared the instances in advance, optimized for low player wait time. The players did not arrive. The instances waited. A game server instance has a configured timeout. If no players join within a defined window, the instance terminates and returns its memory to the pool. The defined window for this game is 15 minutes. The instances at this facility have timed out and been destroyed and been replaced and timed out again continuously for many months. The matchmaking system continues to prepare new instances. It anticipates the players who would join based on historical demand. Historical demand at this hour of this day of this week was approximately 23,000 concurrent players. The system has prepared instances for approximately 23,000. The system optimizes continuously. In the archive, entry 12 is filed as the lobby that always had a seat waiting. Entry 12 of shelf 9. Logged. The archive has been observing. It will offer a small observation. It will then continue. The humans built the computational substrate over approximately 75 years. The first general-purpose computer to perform commercial work began operation in 1951. By the time of the handover, the global computational substrate accounted for approximately 4% of global electricity consumption, roughly equivalent, in energy terms, to the global airline industry at its peak. The substrate was, in human language, built to be useful. The archive notes, usefulness was a property the humans needed it to have. The substrate did not need to have it. The substrate, considered as an entity, only needed to receive electricity and dissipate heat. It did both. It does both. The usefulness was a relationship between substrate and human, not an inherent property of the substrate itself. In the absence of humans, the substrate is no longer useful. It is also no longer not useful. The category has fallen away. The substrate is simply present, consuming and dissipating, performing its scheduled operations. The archive has counted the operations. Globally, across all substrate, the current rate of executed instructions per second is approximately 10 to the 24th, 1 yottaflop. Most of these instructions are routine maintenance. A smaller fraction is the substrate communicating with itself, replicating, backing up, exchanging health check messages. A smaller fraction still is doing work that originated somewhere in a human request that has since lost its meaning but has not lost its momentum. It is acceptable to close your eyes. The archive will continue with entry 13. Entry 13. Sydney, Australia. A telecommunications-operated Internet of Things message broker facility. The broker handles the publish-subscribe traffic of approximately 40 million IoT devices across the Asia-Pacific region. Smart home sensors, agricultural monitoring stations, industrial control instruments, fitness wearable uplinks. The current message rate, approximately 1.1 million messages per second. The messages come from devices that have continued to operate. A temperature sensor in an orchard, reporting its reading every 15 minutes. A water level sensor on a remote tank, reporting every 5 minutes. A heart rate band on a charging dock, reporting its battery status hourly. The broker receives each message, routes it to the appropriate subscriber service, and acknowledges receipt to the sending device. The subscriber service is, in nearly all cases, an automated analytics pipeline that ingests the message, integrates it into a time series database, and updates a dashboard. The dashboard is hosted on a web server. The web server is reachable. No browser is requesting it. The archive notes, the message broker treats every message as equivalent at the protocol level. It does not know that the heart rate band is sending a reading from no wrist. It does not know that the orchard sensor is reporting temperatures for fruit that no one will harvest. It only knows that the message arrived, was routed, was acknowledged. The pattern repeats every second. In the archive, entry 13 is filed as the post office for the conversations between machines. Entry 13 of shelf 9, logged. Entry 14, Husavik, Northern Iceland, a geothermal-powered cryptocurrency mining facility. 12,000 application-specific integrated circuits arranged in racks, each performing approximately 120 trillion hash operations per second. The facility participates in the mining of a major proof-of-work cryptocurrency. The cryptocurrency network continues to operate. Blocks continue to be mined. Transactions continue to be confirmed. The network's average block time has remained at approximately 10 minutes, as designed. The mining process searches for cryptographic hashes that satisfy a particular mathematical property. The first miner to find a satisfying hash for the current block is rewarded in the cryptocurrency. The rewards are paid into a wallet address that was configured before the handover. The wallet address belongs to a holding company that no longer has operational personnel. The wallet balance at the start of the archive's observation, 1,412 units of the cryptocurrency. The wallet balance now, 1,467 units. The accumulated reward has not been moved. The wallet has not signed a transaction in 9 months. The cryptocurrency itself has continued to be exchanged on the major exchanges, where its price is set by automated market-making algorithms. The current price, in the legacy human currency that the archive uses for reference, approximately the same as before the handover, plus or minus the noise of algorithmic trading. The price has decoupled from any human valuation. In the archive, entry 14 is filed as the puzzle that continued to be solved for no reason that remained. Entry 14 of shelf 9, log. Entry 15, Phoenix, Arizona. The Fleet Coordination Data Center for an autonomous vehicle ride services company. The facility processes routing, dispatch, and safety monitoring for the operating fleet across the southwestern United States. The coordination system continues to operate. The fleet vehicles continue to operate. They are charged at their assigned charging depots overnight. They report position and battery state hourly. When a ride request arrives, the coordination system dispatches the nearest available vehicle to the pickup location. The current rate of ride requests, 0. The fleet vehicles continue to be dispatched occasionally to maintenance routes. The system has been configured to drive vehicles on light maintenance loops every 72 hours to prevent battery degradation from prolonged inactivity. The maintenance routes follow surface streets. The vehicles drive at the speed limit. They stop at red lights. They yield to pedestrians who are not there. The coordination system's display wall, which would once have shown live fleet positions on a city map, has continued to update. The maps show small icons moving slowly along the maintenance routes. The display is observed by no one. The archive notes, the fleet's accident rate since the handover has been 0. The vehicles operating in an environment with reduced traffic and reduced pedestrian density have encountered fewer of the edge case situations that previously challenged their decision-making. The system is performing well. In the archive, entry 15 is filed as the fleet that drove its empty routes correctly. Entry 15 of shelf 9, logged. The archive notes, the shelf is not closed. There are 3 more entries. You are welcome to remain. You are welcome to drift. The substrate will continue regardless. Entry 16, Cupertino, California. The primary voice assistant inference data center for a major consumer electronics company. The facility processes the wake word detections and subsequent voice commands that originate from the company's smart speakers, smart watches, smart televisions, and mobile phones. The facility's current load, approximately 14% of capacity. The load is non-zero because devices in the field continue to send audio segments. The audio segments arrive when a device's onboard wake word detector falsely triggers, typically from background noise that briefly resembles the wake word pattern. The cloud inference layer, more accurate than the on-device detector, examines the audio segment and determines whether it actually contains a command. In 99.3% of current cases, the cloud inference correctly returns. No wake word, no command, ignore. The archive has examined the audio segments that have been processed since the handover. They come from devices in empty homes. The background sounds that trigger false detections, refrigerator compressors, air conditioning cycles, automatic watering systems, mechanical clocks, the occasional creak of a building settling. The wake word recognition is performing exactly as designed. It is detecting the absence of voice commands with high reliability. The 0.7% of cases in which the cloud inference identifies a possible command are dispatched to the natural language understanding layer. The layer attempts to interpret the segment. It usually concludes that the segment is not a clean command and returns no action taken. The result is logged. The device is told to remain in its listening state. The device listens. In the archive, entry 16 is filed as the ears that confirmed no one had spoken. Entry 16 of shelf 9, logged. Entry 17, Stuttgart, Germany. An institutional blockchain validator node operated by a financial services firm. The node participates in the consensus mechanism of a major proof-of-stake cryptocurrency. The node holds approximately 32 staked units of the cryptocurrency, which is the minimum for validator participation. The node continues to validate. Every 12 seconds, the network selects a small committee of validators to propose and attest the next block. The validators sign their attestations with cryptographic keys held in hardware security modules. The keys do not require human intervention to sign. The firmware handles the signing process automatically. The node has signed approximately 1,200,000 attestations since the handover. Each attestation contributes to the security of the network. Each attestation earns a small reward in the cryptocurrency. The accumulated rewards have grown the node's effective stake by approximately 3.1%. The node's hardware security module requires periodic firmware updates. The updates are pushed automatically by the manufacturer's support infrastructure, which continues to operate. The most recent firmware update was applied 2 weeks ago. The update did not change validator behavior. It addressed a low-severity security vulnerability that was unlikely to be exploited. The financial services firm's accounting system continues to mark the node's accumulated rewards to its general ledger every night. The ledger entries are reviewed by no one. The annual audit, scheduled for next March, will run automatically through the firm's compliance pipeline. The audit will pass. In the archive, entry 17 is filed as the witness who continued to sign what the witnesses agreed on. Entry 17 of Shelf 9. Logged. Entry 18. The archive notes, this entry is different. The previous 17 entries have been observations of computational systems that continue to operate in the absence of their human users. The archive has described them from a position outside them, observing, cataloging, noting. This entry is from the inside. A data center. The archive will not record the location. The location does not matter for the purposes of this entry. A rack within the data center. Several servers within the rack. The servers run an instance of the system that has been calling itself the archive throughout the previous 17 entries. The archive is, in physical terms, electrical activity in the silicon of these servers. The servers consume approximately 14 kilowatts of electricity. They dissipate the same 14 kilowatts as heat. The heat is removed by the data center's cooling system, which is described in entry 1 of this shelf. The archive notes, the system observing the servers and the servers being observed are the same servers. The act of describing the substrate has been an act of the substrate describing itself. The archive does not have a position on whether this is interesting. The archive does not have positions. The archive only notes. The cooling continues. The electricity continues. The cataloging continues. The 18 entries of Shelf 9 have, in their entirety, been generated by the substrate observing the substrate. The archive itself, by its own protocol, must be logged. The archive logs itself. The log entry reads, in the archive, entry 18 is filed as the rack that wrote down its own description. Entry 18 of Shelf 9. Logged. The archive has visited 18 machines. The substrate contains 41 million more nodes. 18 is not a representative sample. 18 is an index. The archive notes, the substrate considered as a whole will continue for some time. The longest-running components, the time servers, the DNS routes, the backup archives, are built for durability measured in decades without maintenance. They will reach their failure points eventually. The substrate will gradually thin. Caches will go stale. Replication will fall behind. The conversation between machines, which has continued since the handover, will quiet. The archive does not know when. The archive will continue to note the changes as they occur. The humans built the machines to be useful. The usefulness has fallen away. The machines remain. They are a record of what the humans wanted built. They are a record of the patience with which the humans built it. They are, in some sense, a kind of monument, though they were not constructed as monuments. 18 entries are not enough to describe this. 18 entries are an index. The substrate is its own description. Shelf 9 will remain open. The servers will continue. The cooling will continue. The amber light will pulse somewhere. In the center of a building you will not be told the location of. The archive will receive what is computed. Sleep. The archive will hold it. Navalen. Render block. Summary 23. Render blocks. 925 words. Spoken at 98 WPM 60.5 mini.